enjoyed your lunch. We wanted to make sure that you nourished your body, but hope you also enjoyed Ben Van Wong and got some nourishment for your mind. We know the arts opens you up to look at things in a new way, so we always want to infuse a little bit of the arts into our presentation. So I have the pleasure of now introducing our next speaker. The session is Innovation Through Inclusivity, a story of entrepreneurship and unleashing the potential of an overlooked employee population. And this is actually an issue that CSB focused on in partnership with Steelcase over the past year. We released an issue brief, Disability Inclusion in the Workplace, and you can find this on my CCP. But it was important for us to help companies open up that aperture and think about their workforce in a different way. So I have the pleasure of introducing Collette Divitto. She is a business owner, an author, a TV star, a mentor, and so much more. She's been described as a tenacious young woman with a strong will for perseverance. Sounds like a lot of us in this room. And she's going to talk about her journey for employment and talked about what she did when she faced barriers to getting a job. So thank you for sharing your story with us, Collette. Without further ado, please join me on stage.
Hey, can you guys hear me or no? Yes. I can hear you, right? Sorry. Okay. Hi, I am actually Collette Divitto. I am very honored to be here with everyone. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to tell you about who I am and my company. And here we go. Hi, my name is Collette. Hi, my name is Collette, and I was born in 1990 and born with Down syndrome. I have worked hard my whole life to be accepted and included. I went to Clemson University and created a 3-year left program in just 2 years. I went on job interviews for the next couple of years and was always told I was not a good fit. It was heartbreaking for me. More about me. I will not let this defeat me. Instead, I decided to open my own company. I love baking since I was young and always make cookies. So in 2016, I started Collettey cookies. I have sold over 750,000 cookies and get emails all of the time about how good they are. I think people are surprised. Are you guys actually surprised? Fun facts. I have been featured in Corp, People, GMA, CBS, and ABC World News, CNN, News Station, QVC, Huffington Post, USA Today, Pop Circle, Fox News, and many more. I have also been written up in over 16 countries. This past January, I signed an agreement for a talking series about my love for a metro streaming network. Fun fact, I published 2 books of my series. First book, that is called Colette in Kindergarten. I also do have a second book, that is called Colette in the 3rd grade. I also do have a 10-episode reality show. That show is called Born for Business. I also do have another show. That show is actually on YouTube. This one is actually say about my web series called Underestimated. There's all 6 episodes of that show on YouTube. Honey products in stores. I have here is actually crispy, 70 chocolate chip, and my second one that is called crunchy oatmeal and whiskey cookie. And those 2 patches there, I just let it add soft wet, TJ Maxx, parcels, and also add Stop and Stop and other marketplaces, and there's other places too. Picking day. So since I was one busy person, I was actually at this mass toxic kitchen. I make 15,000 pesos a day at that kitchen, by the way. Cold turkeys gift packages. Cold turkeys also has an online cookie gifting company. Gifts for every occasion. It is on my website. That is actually called coldturkeys.com. I have a Christmas, Easter, doggy birthday, Father's Day, Mother's Day. Man, I have so many gift packages. My God. Okay, next step is actually called the challenge. 82% of people with a disability that are jobs and are capable for work or not cutting higher. Code, yes, there's a applause, thank you. Code is create opportunities and serves as a great example of how capable people with a disability can be. Why would someone support co-practice? I am a woman and a certified disability-owned business. My cookies sales represent hope and inspiration for those with disabilities. My cookie company employs people with disabilities. I love doing that very much. Not just bacon. Cold-pressed cookies turning a percent of profit to my nonprofit. That is on my coldpressed.org. My cookies are made in my tree and nothing kitchen. My cookies are also certified. I started a nonprofit. So as my nonprofit nonprofit, I have been teaching other people with, is to empower other people with disabilities who like to learn about how to become as an entrepreneurship, learn independence, and also how to start your own company someday. Sorry. You think I feel thirsty. I need some water if that's okay. I'm really sorry. Try my best, but I beg you. Okay, now I'm back. Okay, my non-profit offers live classes and webinars. On here, I have been thinking about, independence stuff and with other classes. I do have my mom. Her name is Rosemary. She has been teaching her all the classes for other students in school and for parents of their other sons or daughters who have disabilities, who are bullied in school or or probably who cannot find jobs. So I think that's good. I think so. My passion is spreading my story, showing people all over the world how the word disabled does not mean we are not able. And they focus on the unlimited need for jobs alone with the resources needed to be put in place for a successful placement. Another passion. Oh my God, so many passions going on here. Oh my God, I'm so tired of it sometimes. My passion is to continue to run my company to keep creating jobs for people with disabilities. I have created 15 jobs, and every employee started at minimum wage. Today, they are all above minimum wage, as they are the most loyal, dedicated, critical, and amazing team players. They continue to impress me and have become a force in the company. Okay, so no matter who you are, you can make a great difference in this world. I am always looking to tell my story and the company and keep empowering others, and I would love to find new partnerships. Thank you guys very much. If there is any questions, you can. If there is any questions, email me. Thank you. And CECP, amazing company to you guys. Yeah, please do. Thank you.
Thanks, Collette, and thank you for being a role model to all of us, and thank you for sharing your message with the other business leaders in this room. I'm just thinking about all the companies that didn't hire her. They're feeling kind of silly right now. But just love the problem solving, and that she has been able to change the lives of so many other people. And she has delicious cookies, so check it out. Next, I am pleased to introduce a new session that we're running over the next couple days at the CSP Summit. It's called Charting Change, Stories of Purpose and Impact. So what we thought we'd do is bring some of our companies to the stage to talk about some ways that they've been able to solve challenges through the innovation in their work, through their initiatives. And just talk about the triumphs, but also the challenges in instituting some of these innovations and the problem solving through their social responsibility and their sustainability programs. So the first of these sessions, we are going to hear from Monica Moradkin at Wynn Resorts. She is the Vice President of Community Relations, and in this role, she focuses on the company's long-term community engagement, strategy, and objectives. So with that, Monica, please join me here.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon. What a beautiful segment Collette gave to us. So thank you for the beautiful story you were so brave to share with us and being an extraordinary entrepreneur. So the best is yet to come for you. So thank you. So thank you to CECP for giving me this opportunity to share some time with each of you. I do encourage questions at the end, so I'm going to leave some time for that. And I'm just excited to be here. I've had the privilege for the last several years to be part of this amazing program and be part of the CECP network. So for those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who are rejoining us, welcome back. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of Wynn Resorts. How many of you are familiar with us? I'm not going to be offended. Okay. Oh, okay. That's exciting. Okay. So for those of you who are not familiar with us, we are an integrated hospitality company headquartered in Las Vegas. We also have resorts in Boston, Macau, Cotai, and we are developing in the United Arab Emirates. What's integrated resorts? It's a fancy name for gaming. So that's what we do. We're gaming and everything else that falls under the umbrella of hospitality. And being in these beautiful resorts, we know that we want to maximize on resources. So that's part of my presentation today, to share with you how we are maximizing on our resources and hopefully give you some ideas of how you can take that outside to your businesses. So people and products. So here are a few pictures from a recent event that we had at Wynn Las Vegas. This is where we took our people and our products to have an innovative impact. So I'm going to give you some highlights from Spring Fling. So Spring Fling is an event that we host at Encore Beach Club. And it's an opportunity for us to be able to do a takeover and use these resources. So we had nonprofits house their organization and market them inside each little cabana. And then we raised money throughout the program, and all those dollars were matched by our company and going to our community grant fund. We also had this event last year where we raised over $40,000 for one of our local nonprofits that focuses on grief. So I understand not everybody has the opportunity for Encore Beach Club venue, but I'm going to get into some samples in a few moments. Let me just check. Okay. I want to make sure I'm not skipping this. All right. So how to begin? So I like to come up with little acronyms to try to remember, right? You have so much information coming at you that when you leave, you're like, oh, wait, what was that? So LIT, so LIT. So leverage, initiate, and transform. So first you leverage your resources, right? You've got to identify what you have and leverage those resources. Initiate relationships, both internally and externally, and then transform communities. We do put a lot of focus into our innovative programming at Wynn Resorts. While we invested about $20 million last year, we know that there's other ways that we can dig, and we can look at what we have internally for those resources. So again, to leverage, to initiate, and to transform. So I'm going to give you a couple of other internal examples before I go into the external ideas. So on the screen, the gentleman speaking is our Chief Operating Officer for Wynn Resorts North America. One of the dialogues I've heard over and over again at the CECP Summit, and something I tell my CEO all the time because I'm really grateful for access to him, is that many of you don't have that relationship with the CEO, or you don't have access. It took time, and it continues for us to take time at Wynn Resorts as well, and at Encore Boston Harbor and our other properties, because we invite them to join us. And we invite them over and over again. We get a lot of no's because of their schedules, but eventually they'll say yes. And I'll tell you a story about that in a little bit. And then in the middle, this was the program that our CEO spoke at. It was our nonprofit leadership retreat, and we had over 300 representatives at our Las Vegas program and about 100 at our Boston program. So what we do is we put on a whole day of leadership development. We bring together the nonprofits in a steering committee format for months, and we ask them what they want. Because we can all sit in a boardroom all day and think we know what the nonprofits want, but we want to design a program for and with them. So it's a great opportunity for us to be able to engage in that space. Because how many of us are in transactional roles? We give money, they come back to us the next year, right? Many of us, right? Or that's what they expect. They're like, where's our renewal? So we don't want to do that. And then, let me see, there's another one. All right, and then we also had a local president of the Vegas Golden Knights come and speak in our fireside chat, and we utilize our general counsel who oversees our area to be able to maximize on her great skill set of speaking and interviewing and have her engaged too. So again, just keep asking your executives. You're going to get a lot of no's, but that's okay. We just keep going. I love the topic of this conference, the purpose and perseverance. I love it. It's so true for what all of us do. Sarah taught me, people look at us as cost centers. She taught me years ago, we're added value. And that has stuck with me, and our whole team, we have used it over and over again. So love that. Kylie, am I doing okay on the slides? Okay, thanks. Kylie helped me last time. This 18 times, thank you. All right, so back to our how-to. So remember, the leverage, the initiate, and the transform. So another example for you is we have a Leadership Fellows program. So we get our nonprofits together. We have about 12 who just graduated last week, and we have 15 more coming in next month, and we spend a year engaging with our executives. Even if it's just a 30-minute session, we get them involved. And we base these sessions on what, again, the nonprofits want. We ask a lot of questions. So our nonprofits wanted to learn about succession planning. So we brought in executives who've been with the company for over 15 years each. And then another topic they wanted to learn was negotiations. So we brought in our top 3 negotiators, and it was just fascinating. It was the session where we had run out of time, and we had no idea that we were actually going to, garner that much interest in it because we didn't ask. So when we asked, we knew that's what their interest was. So this is a year-long program where we're able to leverage our resources, get the executives involved, and serve the nonprofits in a different capacity. So you're probably thinking, well, we don't have a beach club and we don't have all these items, so what can we do? So I want to be able to share a couple of ideas. A mentorship program. We've talked about, maybe being mentors in some type of capacity. Perhaps it's your executives. If they don't have time to serve on a board, are they willing to give 1 hour 3 times a year to an executive from a nonprofit that you match them with? Look at almost like mentor matching. Are they willing to do something in that type of capacity? So capacity building, I'll give you an example. We invited one of our partners, the Las Vegas Raiders, to join us at Catholic Charities to volunteer. And Kylie and I went and met with Catholic Charities right after the event, and they're like, how did you get the Raiders here? And we're like, we invited them. And they were just amazed because they had been trying for a year and a half and did not get a return phone call. So you never know what type of relationship you might be able to facilitate an introduction to another company and support that nonprofit in that way. We have such a great peer network, right? Not only through CCP, but in our local communities of how we work with businesses. Succession planning resources, thinking about the great executives and managers and et cetera that you have in your company who can help build and design these types of resources. Strategic planning, policy. I'm so glad that you had an elected official here. It's so important for nonprofits to understand public policy. How many of you ever work or are aware of the lobbyists that you have both internally and externally with your companies? Right, a lot of it, right? There's a lot of crossover with government affairs. So we're going to be having a policy summit for our nonprofit partners later this year so we can educate them on municipalities and the legislative process for our state legislator because they only meet every other year for 120 days, and also help them to understand our federal politics. Has anyone ever seen the old Schoolhouse Rock video? It's like, I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill, right? So we want to teach them all these great things. And then webinars. So many of us have been able to leverage those resources. It's a norm now, right, to offer programs through the power of technology. Maybe if you are in a market where you are regional and you can bring together your nonprofits in person, great. If you can, maybe do something virtually. And then for those of you who have opportunities locally, maybe you bring them together once a year just to engage and help them also build relationships. And then I want to point out two CCP partners. I'm not sure, is Vanguard or Allstate here? Okay, yay, which one? Allstate, yay. And then is Vanguard here? Usually Vanguard's, yay, welcome. Okay, so I'm really excited about this because although I love sharing what we do, I love that there are so many other companies who are part of this network, and these two stood out to me in my research. So Vanguard has developed a free experiential classroom program that is called My Classroom Economy, and it teaches students about financial responsibility. And what's really amazing is that while it's been around for a little bit over 10 years, they have over 1 million users. So everybody has to start somewhere, right? And I love that it's grown over time. So wanted to give them a shout out. And then Allstate has a really cool nonprofit leadership program that is housed at Northwestern. And they offer not only on-demand resources for nonprofits, but they also have a leadership development program that they put top leaders in. And I think it's just so great, right? Looking at how do we maximize on those assets, dig deep at people and purpose and everything else so we can keep doing good. It's beyond the investing of dollars, right? Nonprofits might not always see it that way, but over time they will, and that's something that we're really, really proud of at Wynn Resorts. And I just want to also thank my amazing team members that I'm blessed to work with every single day. So Kylie, Beth, and Lisa, who's on day 3 of the job and gets to be at the best learning laboratory. And thank you again for this opportunity. So I have one last thing to add, but I'm going to wait on that until I see if there's any questions. So are there any questions for me? Yes. Company and name, please. Okay. Thank you. Leslie from New York Life, yes, Heather, sorry, is asking about our mentorship program and how we pair people up. That's to come. We haven't started that yet. I was just thinking of external ideas for other companies. So how I would handle that personally is having like a matching program, right? So looking at the executives that you think would be willing to be a mentor, looking at your nonprofit partners and seeing who you can match up. Personalities play a big part in that. So if I knew that there's a nonprofit that has a really strong leader who is willing to take feedback, and I have an executive who's willing to give that 1 hour every quarter or 3 times a year, and I think their personalities would mesh together, then I would match them up. I look at it as like a matchmaking type of program. That's how I would do it, but happy to discuss that more later. We haven't done that yet. It's just something we've talked about. Kylie. Oh, yes. Okay, thank you, Kylie. This is the best team. So our nonprofit leadership fellows is a really great structure because we put them in the process of this program for a whole year, but we start with a kickoff retreat. We spend about a day and a half understanding what their needs are. We bring in facilitators who are alumni of the program, and then we match up their interests with the executives that we have at the company. So for negotiations, for instance, we brought in our vice president or our executive vice president of hotel sales and marketing, and she's an expert in this space of negotiations, and from that we were able to pair her up with the Girl Scouts, and now she's working with the Girl Scouts on going beyond the cookie, because that's all they market, right? They're cookies. But now she's working with them on how to recruit, how to elevate their sales campaign, how to get not only more girls to join their program, but how to get more troop leaders. Was that right, the cover? Okay, sure, thanks. Thanks, Kylie. Okay, other questions? Yes. Hello. That's a really great question. From Edward Jones, what's your name? Scott. Thank you, Scott. So Scott asked about our nonprofits that are in our leadership program, are they funded? Not all of them are. So this is a great strategy for us to engage with some of our partners who are funded and some nonprofits that we likely would not invest in charitably, but we're willing to invest in them through leadership development. And for the past 2 years and this third class coming in, we have done an internal nomination process, and it's only for the CEO or the top position in the organization. Next year, we're opening up to our nonprofit partners so they can actually apply, and if they're middle management, if they're rising stars, whatever position level they are at, they're able to apply. But good question, thank you. Thanks, Scott. Yes?
Hi, Leslie from neurodiverse. Do you run this all yourself, or do you have an external shop that you're using?
Thank you, Leslie. Novartis? Nova Nordis. Thank you, Leslie. So no, it's our small but mighty team. So there are 4 of us with corporate and then 2 at Encore Boston Harbor. So 6 of us total. I love that data on the average mean of a team. I love that. Taking that straight to the C-suite. My boss is in the C-suite, so yeah. No, we do it all internally, but we really engage with the nonprofits. Again, we can sit in a room all day and think we know what we're talking about with the nonprofits, but we want to make sure we immerse ourselves with them and have them give us feedback, and then we design. So we always look at the approach of we're going to custom tailor everything for them. So, yes. Okay. Oh, well, okay, wrapping up. Yes, so guess what? We're maximizing on our resources today. So if you are the lucky 2 people who have a pretty card underneath your chair with my business card, then you won something. So everyone look under your chair. And if no one's sitting in that seat, then oh boy. Who has them? Who has them? Sheer chaos. All right, she's got one golden ticket and one. Okay, yay! So here's for the two wonderful representatives who have these cards. Again, we're maximizing on our resources, so you will have a 3-night stay at Wynn Las Vegas. Yay! Yay! With dinner for 2 at SW Steakhouse and 2 tickets each to Awakening. And Kylie, how long is it good for? 6 months or a year? A year. So you have a year to get this. So contact us. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Well, congratulations to the winners. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, and congratulations to the winners. So want to thank Monica, and just to give you a sense of what you'll hear over the next couple days is more of these kind of quick takes on how companies are using their resources and solving challenges through the business. But thank you, Monica, for sharing some real-world examples of how a company is digging deep and looking at its skills and resources and thinking, what else can we contribute? What else can we do to work with our nonprofit partners and in our community to solve challenges? So speaking of societal challenges, I'm pleased to introduce the next session, Should Organizations Link Responsible AI and Corporate Responsibility? I can't think of a more timely conversation, and something that I'm sure we're all thinking about. Of you're reading all the headlines on AI and thinking, what can I do? How can we apply this to our work? How can we tap all these efficiencies that we're hearing about? So for this panel, I'm pleased to introduce and invite up to the stage Stephanie Bell from Partnership on AI, Balaji Ganapathy from TCS, Andre Joglu from Blackbaud, and Justina Nixon-Saint-Hill from IBM. So please join me on stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a little sad that we were standing in the back corner and so didn't have any chairs to chat, but it looks like we would not have been the lucky winners as it was. Congrats to the folks who were. My name is Stephanie Bell. I am the Chief Programs and Insights Officer at the Partnership on AI, which is a multi-stakeholder nonprofit organization focused on bringing together industry, civil society, and academia to better understand the impacts of artificial intelligence on society and ensure that those impacts are positive. Whether it comes to ensuring that these technologies create equity rather than increase discrimination, or create shared prosperity as opposed to increasing inequality. We work across a large portfolio of programs and are very excited to be doing that work in partnership, actually with many of the companies who have representatives in this room. I'm joined here on stage to talk about the intersection of responsible AI and corporate social responsibility by 3 fantastic experts in the space, who I'm going to invite to introduce themselves, say a little bit about their organization and their work here, and talk a little bit about how each of your organizations defines responsible AI. And so with that, I'll actually start at the far left and go to Justina first.
Hi, everyone. Justina Nixon-Saint-Hill. I'm the Chief Impact Officer at IBM. So I lead our corporate global social responsibility function. all of our social impact programs focus on sustainability and education, our volunteerism as well. But I also lead our ESG strategy programs and disclosure. So I'm also on the AI ethics board, so I have a side into how we look at responsible AI, and we're also integrating a lot of our AI technology and our platforms into the work that we do around social impact. So how we look at responsible AI is really based on 3 guiding principles. And IBM had created the AI ethics board actually a few years ago. We meet monthly. We also have working groups that are part of it that meet on a regular basis as well. And all of the work that we do around AI across the company comes to the board. We make decisions based on how clients want to use our technology. We look at policy, and everything, again, is focused on these 3 guiding principles, which is the purpose of AI is to augment human intelligence, not replace human intelligence. The second guiding principle is that the creator owns the data and the insights. So even when we work with clients, when we work with partners, we make sure it's very clear that they own their data, they own the insights, we are just an enabler, we are supporting them. And then the third guiding principle is that the technology needs to be transparent and explainability. It has explainability, which means if you're doing something around AI, right, and we've seen a lot of these interfaces where there may be a human, or recently in the news, there was the use of somebody's voice, you have to be very clear that this is AI and this is not a human. So being transparent about how you're using the technology is extremely important to us as well. So we really focus on those 3 guiding principles. The other area that we have a very strong point of view on is that if you regulate the technology itself, you are stifling innovation. So we very much focus on how do we regulate or put guide rails around the use cases? How do you make sure you're protecting people? How you make sure you're protecting society, so you have guardrails around the use cases around AI, but you're not actually regulating the technology, because again, that could reduce the amount of innovation that companies, especially entrepreneurs, are having in this space. So that's just how we define responsible AI.
Thanks so much, Justina, and love that set of guiding principles to kick off the conversation. We'll be returning to a few of those themes over the course of the next half hour or so. Balaji, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, I'm Balaji Ganapati. I'm the Chief Social Responsibility Officer at TCS. TCS is a small $30 billion information technology company. We have about 600,000 employees globally. We operate in 55 markets. And in full disclosure, AI did help me prepare for the session. So I think you're going to hear this quite often going forward. But I want to start, instead of doom and gloom, with something very positive. And I was going back a few years. I was on this very same stage a few years ago talking about new technologies. And I want to repeat that human intelligence still drives artificial intelligence. So that's the positive takeaway. If you have one thing to take away, it is that human intelligence still drives artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is not a monolith. So when I talk about how TCS and how I, as a social impact leader, look at this space, I want to help you understand that it's not only the Gen AI, the ChatGPT 4.0, which is, we are getting swept up in that hype, but it's a whole slew of technologies that have been used for the last 10, 15, even more years, right? So from voice assistants that we are all familiar with, the Alexas and the Siris, the speech, the recommendation engines from Netflix or Amazon, all the way to natural language processing systems like chatbots and computer vision. You have robotics, and then you have the GANs, which is where the GPTs and other LLMs fall under, right? Deep learning, etc. So I'm saying this with the purpose that as practitioners in different parts of our organization, we also have a responsibility to understand some of these technologies beyond the buzzwords and spend time, because it's still in the early stages of being adopted within organizations. And when you look at it from the lens of the organization, I want to offer you 3 things to think about, which we are all very familiar with. One is values, the second is framework, and the third is behaviors. And we can influence this as leaders, as teams in the organization. Values, they are constant. That's not going to change. But how do you apply the values in creating responsible solutions using AI technologies? Justina spoke about transparency and the importance to be fair, to be equitable, to ensure that the basic principles of how you're using it is going to benefit all people, not some. So that, I would say, is how you uphold the values. You have to bring it to life by having frameworks in place that can help you set guardrails, but also when guardrails don't exist, go back and look at, okay, hey, this use case is there, but I don't have a policy for how to go about it. Let me go back and look at it. But the underlying way of looking at the guardrails or the framework is to look at privacy and security as two outputs that are constant, right? Is it secure? And is it protecting the privacy rights of all of the stakeholders who are involved in that? And from a behaviors perspective, the key thing to look at is it humane, right? How is it going to be utilized? Who is benefiting from it? And so I leave you with that, right? Values, framework, and behaviors. And I asked ChatGPT another way of telling this, and it told me that values is basically trustworthiness. Framework is basically security, and behaviors is basically humane. So that is your AI augmented message to start the session.
Wisdom from the AI itself already.
On itself.
Yeah, on itself too, right? It's going a little meta. Even though we don't have anybody from Meta on stage right now, they also have lots of thoughts about this. The thing that I really appreciated about that answer is how centered on people it is. Because at every stage of that values, that framework, those behaviors, you have people either deciding what each of those are or making them happen in practice. We aren't yet at a point where the tech is running away on its own, even if we do get a little advice from it sometimes. Andrea, over to you.
It's difficult to follow such thorough answers, but I'll see what I can add. I'm Andrea Joglu. I'm the Director of Data Product Management at Blackbaud. We are a software provider for corporate impact and social impact solutions. So everything from fundraising and donor management systems to CSR Connect and the Your Cause suite of products, as well as Everfi. So I am in the business of providing AI solutions for our customers. So I have been working in this space quite a bit and thinking about the impact on social impact, right? And how Blackbaud's own approach to it in creating a framework that creates governance, policies, empowerment, and process, right? So the way we approach it in Blackbaud is set up an AI council, much like Justina just talked about, set up policies that allow for the very ethical challenges. So how do you establish accountability, transparency, responsibility, and all of those truly human things around what AI is, what AI can produce, right? As both of my colleagues have just said on stage, it is still a very much human technology, right? It is still built by humans to augment humanity. And the third thing is empowerment. And I would say at Blackbaud, we're doing a really good job of teaching our employees not only to sell products that have AI within them for our customers' usage, but teaching our employees how to use AI themselves to make their own processes, to make their own workflows, to make their own small teams even more efficient and more effective. So that empowerment piece from within allows all of our employees to start from a place of knowledge and understanding and comprehension of the limits and the boundaries of what AI can do for us. And then the third piece around process is make things that are repeatable, right? So don't just always be testing something new and testing something new. Find the use cases that actually provide the benefits and solve the pains of our customers and our employees, and make almost a factory approach to that. So how can we create something once that's almost like a cookie cutter, a template, and then it gets slightly adjusted or tweaked throughout the company and throughout all of our software products to be adjusted for different use cases, like Justina was mentioning.
Fabulous. I love the focus on learning over time as opposed to just going out with a wild set of experiments and trying to start anew every single moment. Also really appreciated the focus on social impact there. And that is something where I'd like to pick up with the next question, actually. I think all of us have seen a lot of headlines about AI, some of which are talking about, a lot of pretty scary doomsday scenarios, a lot of fears, a lot of calls for regulation. We'll get there, but I'd actually like to start with some of the positive side. Justina, can you share some of the things that you're most excited about at IBM in terms of positive social impact coming out of these technologies?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we have a huge focus on education and sustainability. And in the sustainability space, we have a program called the IBM Sustainability Accelerator. And IBM, of course, has focused on AI for many, many years. So when we launched the accelerator, it was around using our weather data, our AI capabilities to actually help the most vulnerable communities that are being challenged by weather changes, environmental threats, climate change. So we leverage our AI, we leverage our weather data, we partner with nonprofit organizations, we help them iterate on their solutions, and then we help them launch those solutions in those vulnerable communities. Now, with generative AI, we've taken this a step further. So we have different cohorts that are focused on sustainable agriculture, resilient cities, water management, and clean energy. So now we're using generative AI to really help our nonprofits understand how do you leverage their data in a large language model, and then how do you use the insights and the output from those models to really create new insights, new models, new products that they could leverage and launch in the community. So right now we're working with Texas A&M AgriLife on how we use large language models to actually help farmers understand when to water, when to plant, how to increase yield in their communities. We started that program in Texas. Now we're expanding it to other very arid areas across the United States. We're also working with UNDP and other partners in Kenya on how we use geospatial data, AI as well, to deliver clean energy solutions to very rural areas in Africa. So we are continuing to leverage our own AI expertise, and generative AI really just takes it a step further, right, because of LLMs. But again, this has been something that's been a focus of ours. In the education space, the same thing. We have a global program called IBM Skills Build, and we have a platform that anyone can access. It's open to anyone, but we partner very specifically with nonprofit organizations that can bring the content and the training to specific groups that we want to make sure they have skills who have been left out of the workplace historically. So with that, we're using generative AI to provide the right learning pathways for our users, right? Making sure that they have a personalized learning path based on their interests, the types of badges that they want. How do we create those learning pathways using AI? And that's another way that we're using Gen AI. So again, it goes back to who are the communities we want to impact, what are their needs, what are the needs of our nonprofits as well, because this requires upskilling them and making sure that they can leverage the chatbots and making sure that they can also understand the output from the data, right? So there's judgment there are digital skills that are needed, but we work very closely with the nonprofits to upskill them. But I also think this is creating a really great personalized learning pathway for our users, and then also helping our nonprofits understand better how to use the data because they're closest to the communities and they understand what the communities need, but we can provide our expertise and our platforms to help them have a greater impact in those communities.
Fantastic. And the global focus there, I think, is one of the biggest things that we can get from artificial intelligence technologies is the ability to scale so many of these solutions. And also, in some instances, leapfrog existing infrastructure and digital capabilities that exist around the world. Love that highlighting of possibility. Want to check in with Balaji and Andrea if there's any examples you'd like to share on the social impact front from your organizations before we pick up on the thread of workforce that was just raised.
Yeah, I think quite a lot of similarities given, of course, IBM has been a leader from the Watson days and beyond in this space, so this is a tough act to follow. But I would say the opportunities were very clearly early on in the energy and the sustainability space because of the preparedness that organizations had to be able to come up with solutions that are innovative, right? So whether it is understanding weather patterns, energy consumption, supply chains, where your sources of energy is coming from, and then creating solutions so that you can reduce your energy usage, make it more clean. All of those are easy examples of where in the business side we saw a lot of adoption. And along with adopting things on a business side, I believe that organizations, what they do on the business side, the talent side, and the community side has to be the same, right? So bringing the best of what those solutions are and offering it to both our employees and to the communities where we live and work, that's the model that we follow. So what does that translate to? For example, in the conservation space, one of the early examples of where we adopted AI was to look at a wildlife sanctuary in India where the single-horned rhino is there, and it's almost on its way to extinction. So we thought, okay, how do you use technologies like drones and sensors and image recognition to help inform the administrators in terms of whether poachers were there and how to protect the rhino. And we were able to do that very successfully over a 2 to 3 year period. The incidents went down, and you were able to conserve and grow the population. So it is a very tangible example of how you can do it from that perspective. But where I see the greatest potential was in the genomic space, where we were doing work with drug manufacturers and pharmaceutical companies around the world. These are our customers, and they are doing a lot of cutting-edge work in this space. But how do you take that into a non-competitive space and work on solutions or use cases around that? And for the last about 5 to 6 years, we are working on transactional cancer research on 2 populations that are under-researched in the world, both Asian, right? Childhood leukemia. The genetic makeup of cancer and cancer drugs are predominantly focused on Caucasians. And so how do you use the power of data and genomic to come up with transactional research for childhood leukemia and then for gallbladder? And the beauty is that when you put all these data sets that are available through research together, what that team came up with, which is completely social impact focused, this is not something that we are selling to customers, is multi-drug usage to bring down the time it takes for remission. I mean, when you look at families that are under-resourced, do not have drugs in the market available, and they are able to use a multi-drug routine to bring down the time it takes to remission, I mean, you're using the best of what you're doing on your business front to create impact in this space. The last thing I would say is Gen AI, I don't think we are quite there yet in, as compared to what IBM and Justina is doing. What I'm doing in my own team is, from across our team, we chose a few people to get exposure to systems, protected systems like Azure AI and Vertex AI, and ask them to come up with what are the kind of problems that you are seeing with your community organizations. Bring that up and come up with ideas and present ideas in terms of where this could go. And 2 or 3 very quick ones. One that came up interestingly was language translation. Yeah, there are great language translation systems in the world, but they are not contextual culturally or in terms of marginalization. That's not coded into any systems. So our team came up with a brilliant idea in terms of how that can be a use case that's usable for the students that we serve, the teachers that we serve. Another quick one was around personalization of lessons for students who are at different learning levels, okay? Especially when you go to schools where 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, all of them are sitting on the floor together, trying to get to basic foundational literacy and numeracy. The teacher is, pretty much at capacity. So how can you offer lesson plans that are customized to different learning levels and age groups in the context of a rural community where it is under-resourced? So these are use cases we are working on right now. So if anybody has insights and learnings on this, come find me. I'd love to use your learnings to advance that.
Fantastic. Andrea, what would you
I
like?
have 2 examples where we've been helping our customers with AI, and I have 1 example from an internal use case for AI. So the 2 examples for at a very micro, boots on the ground type of helping nonprofits and helping the social impact cause. One is it's a donor acknowledgement letter writer. So our participating nonprofits can use our software to basically automatically generate personalized letters of acknowledgement and thank you to their donors. Now, you wouldn't think that that was a big deal, but in nonprofits with small staffs and like limited time and resources, this is a great accelerator for them. And all they have to do is kind of like have the basic metrics available, and then the rest of it is generated by Gen AI. And they can set tone, they can set language, all of these things Gen AI does so well, and so like intuitively, that is a great accelerator for the nonprofit space. The other one is at an individual fundraiser place. There's a Just Giving product in the UK, which is one of the most popular kind of like crowd fundraising type of softwares they have out there. They use it for a lot of individuals that are raising money for marathons and things like that, and pledges and things like that. And so they found that one of the greatest barriers to individuals using that platform to raise money for nonprofits and for local causes was they were afraid to or didn't know how to tell their story. So we built a tool called a story enhancer that says, enter a few of your details, tell us what kind of tone you want to say it in, and we'll write the story for you. And you can, of course, have your final edit rights, and it will, of course, say at the bottom that this was written by me with the help of AI, right? But at the same time, it is all there, and it makes all of those kind of last hurdles that much more surmountable for nonprofits and for individual fundraisers. The third example is internally to Blackbaud. So we kind of eat our own dog food, right? We use our own corporate CSR platform to raise money and to do the volunteering and engagement for our employees. And one of the things we're working on, I was very, very proud to say that the Blackbaud CSR department was one of the testers for the generative AI components for the reporting tool that I'm building for all of our CSR software. And that generative AI component, it's an accelerator in that it helps understand and synthesize large amounts of data very quickly for our CSR department. Like many of you out there, our CSR department is a small, very small but mighty team. And it's kind of like the chorus I've heard throughout this conference is we have amazing individuals, but they're not enough of us, right? And we have so much data and so many stories to tell. How can we get that help to tell those stories better, faster, with more details and more data behind it? And so this is what these new tools that our own internal CSR department, our own impact storytelling has been benefiting from.
Love that as well. Eat our own dog food feels like a good principle, right? Don't unleash anything out on the world that you aren't willing to go ahead and give a whirl yourself. So we focused here so far on some of the positives of AI, but I also teed up that, of course, there are a lot of challenges, right? Artificial intelligence creates so many concerns from so many people, many of them extremely justified. And one of the ones that is really top of mind these days for a lot of people is impacts on workforce. Which is something that I'm seeing some head nods around the room, so this sounds like it might be a concern that resonates with some of you too. Balaji, let's pick up with you to hear about how you're thinking about artificial intelligence and its intersection with your 600,000 employees. How are you implementing that in a way that is worker-focused, worker-centric, and using it to improve rather than reduce their experience at your company?
That's an important question that I think a lot of us will have to grapple with and speak up on quite a bit. So I think here is where I have a difference of opinion that here it's not about use cases, here it's about focusing on stakeholder value. What is your organization doing and how are you creating value, right? So if that is the ultimate goal that you're looking at, you would start with saying that upskilling and reskilling is not enough. You have to do up-leveling. And what I mean by that is you first have to ensure through your principles, through your policies that AI first assists, I think I need AI, assists, then it augments, okay? It doesn't replace. How can you do that? When I say value, stakeholder value can be better derived through innovation than from optimization, right? So this is the very same principles that CCP talks about, long-termism, but you have to look at it from the context of the opportunity that is currently on the table. And what gives me hope is we surveyed about 1,300 CXOs in 24 countries around the world. 54% of them said that AI has more potential than the internet. 56% said more potential than the smartphone. And guess what is the percentage that said that it is actually creating business transformation today? Can anybody guess the percentage? 82? 2%. Why? Because while the hype cycle is going on, enterprise adoption of AI, especially Gen AI, is a very early stage. So don't worry about, okay, doom and gloom of what is going to happen. But it is real. So first start in-house. So we trained over 400,000 of our employees already on the second level of competencies at Gen AI. I can proudly say that all 300 members of my social impact team are Gen AI proficient, right? They understand what it is. They understand, Stephanie's sitting here and nodding her head. She understands prompt engineering and what it means. We have to live it first, along with the rest of the organization. But again, final takeaway, yeah, up-leveling, I don't know if that's the word we all commonly are going to use, but I would, say somebody, maybe the storytelling bot can help come up with a better word, but that is what you should aim for. If you aim for that and make sure that people who are doing the jobs today are moving into levels where they are being supported by and augmented by AI, you can reduce the chance of layoffs while at the same time increase the chance of creating value through innovation and not just through optimization.
And I would add to that up-leveling, I would call it empowerment, right? So you empower your employees to understand these advanced skills that you're putting in front of them and how they can use those skills to level up their performance, right? So it creates such an opportunity for efficiencies, to reduce workflow times, to reduce processes, to find and fix the breakpoints in certain processes, that you can empower everybody to get that training in AI, get that training in the tools that are available. At Blackbaud, we have several cohort programs that are constantly cycling through essentially the entire employee population, where they learn to use different tools and they come with their specific pain points in mind. And they use Gen AI and Microsoft Copilot and other types of Gen AI tools that may or may not be part of different software suites, and see how those tools can help make their work better and make them more efficient. So, and if they are masters of those tools, of those efficiency tools, then they also protect themselves against the workforce reductions that Balaji was talking about.
Yeah, quickly I want to jump in and say why I didn't use empower is that it means, in business terms, it's very vague, right? When I say up-leveling, why I'm saying that is that you are intentionally changing the job level of that person. You may have to pay that person more. You may have to assign a different set of responsibilities. It's, it's probably HR language too, right? Because we need to send that message that training alone is not enough. You have to change the roles and responsibilities and the level of what you're expecting from that person, while making sure that the AI that you're adopting supports through that assistant augment. Sorry, yeah.
No, I definitely agree. But I do think that there's a moment in time where there will be some elimination of jobs. And I go back to when we first had access to the internet. My CEO actually goes back to the steam engine, so I'm not going to go back that. When he uses examples, he talks about the steam engine. I'll talk about the internet. And I think a lot of us remember when the internet was first available to everyone, and you could not actually apply for a job without being clear that you had some experience or you understood how to use it, because certain jobs just did not exist anymore when you can get the information on the internet, right? So I do think there's a moment in time where some very basic tasks, if there are people doing very basic tasks right now that you can actually get the response using Gen AI, those jobs will actually change. Maybe they will be changed and up-leveled, as you mentioned, and some of them will just be eliminated. And I think there's a responsibility of corporations and many of us here to figure out how do we help those people who are going to be affected by this change. It's going to be a moment in time, right, until everybody then is reskilled or upskilled, and they're going to be able to get those jobs where they have those AI skills, whether it's even as basic as prompt engineering or, all the way to maybe, understanding machine learning. But a lot of times it's just very early stage, prompt engineering, how to increase their productivity, understanding what ethical AI and Gen AI is, even the basics of it. There's a moment in time where we have to make sure we're skilling people and making them ready for those new jobs. We just released a study, actually, just last week, where 51% of CEOs are saying that they are increasing the number of jobs around AI. So again, there will be some elimination of jobs. I think we all have to be aware of that, especially basic tasks, entry-level jobs, which is also important to make sure we are working with university students and providing some training for them as well. So when they graduate, some of those early jobs they may have gotten, those may not exist. But there are other jobs that are growing and increasing and new jobs in this field. So again, the opportunity will be there, but the focus on skilling, reskilling, upskilling is something that we are working with nonprofits around globally. We made a commitment to skill 2 million people in AI over the next couple of years. We're diligently working with nonprofits on how we bring some of our AI learning pathways through Skills Build, how we work with them to bring it to the communities in need, and making sure that we're not leaving people behind. But I do think that there will be a shift, and we need to be ready for that, and we need to invest in education around AI, not just for ourselves. We also made sure we trained our employees as well, but also for our nonprofit partners and the communities that they serve.
Yeah, the discussion that you're hearing up here is exactly the discussion that we see on a pretty regular basis, thinking about the fact that if these technologies turn out to be as powerful as people anticipate they will be, and I think that we have reason to believe that's the case, that they're going to be a double-edged sword. And some folks are going to be, massively benefited, and some organizations will be. And others we're going to need to figure out how to carefully and responsibly navigate what potentially some of those downsides look like, which is a subject of some work that we've done recently to release guidelines on AI and shared prosperity for organizations considering exactly these challenges. We are starting to run short on time, so I'm going to kick off a lightning round here. And so returning to the title of the panel, the linkages between responsible AI and corporate responsibility, would love to hear each of your thoughts, let's call it 30 seconds each, on one big trend that you see coming on the intersection between CSR and responsible AI, and how you're thinking about navigating it. Tough challenge for 30 seconds, but I'm sure you all have it. You'll get it.
I'll say the biggest trend I think responsible AI will have the biggest impact for corporate responsibility is in the ability to take the vast amounts of information we all have at our fingertips and be able to bring it together and make it work for the social impact causes. It could be anything from telling your stories, it could be anything from to understand the problems and the magnitude of the problems facing the organizations you're partnering with, to actually finding those solutions. As many as 6 or 7 years ago, McKinsey did a study and they found 160 use cases that covered all 17 UN SDGs. And all of them could be solved by some form of AI, generative AI, or some type of technology like that. And the thing that is missing is the expertise and that last mile implementation, right? So we can close those gaps by empowering, upskilling, and leveling up our organizations to support our nonprofit partners in those endeavors.
Right. Balaji.
I have a quick call to action, which is, I have this dream that we can build a LLM for social impact, and which is free of the hallucinations of the larger OpenAI systems. So if you want to join hands, come find me, because I think the greatest opportunity is in the intersections, right? Between, for example, climate adaptation, the impact of that on health, and the opportunity for inclusive growth and economic empowerment. So I think we have great, wonderful people and organizations that have done tremendous amount of work in this space. this is a moment where we can bring that together, find the, the threads, the common threads that are there, and use this sort of approach to create prosperity for all. So hopeful.
Let's work together on that. So I think going back to education, I mean, many of us have been in this space for a long time, and I think even if you saw some of those data points from earlier where people are focusing their priorities and their funding in K-12, in economic development, and also in university space. And if you think about the stats, right, World Economic Forum had shared a statistic that 60% of our communities, our population already needed reskilling, right, to be successful in the workforce. And now you have on top of that the acceleration of AI. So my biggest priority is how do we make sure we're not leaving those populations behind, already closing the gap, which hopefully will not get exacerbated because of AI, but how do we make sure we're not leaving those communities behind, making sure we're reskilling and upskilling them, and making sure they have an opportunity at a real job, right, that increases economic and social mobility in the future. So that's a priority for us.
Thanks so much. And I think we all got very close to hitting those 30 seconds, so thanks for that. Please join me in thanking our fantastic panelists.
Thank you, Stephanie, Andrea, Balaji. And I think what we're going to do now is transition to the afternoon breakout sessions. So we have DEI perspectives in Plymouth. And then as you learned this morning, the Shaping the Conversations, Your Voice Matters, we're going to talk about change management and corporate grant making. And then the third, and that'll be in Pearl. And then our third session is the SNESG, Benefits and Value of Measuring Your Total Social Investment. That'll be in Palace. So we're going to have a break until about 2:20, a 15-minute break. So use that time to continue networking, and then we'll see you a few minutes. And we'll see you in the breakouts. Thank you.